Boys and girls of every age, wouldn't you like to see... It's Halloween inside the toy room. Okay, welcome back once again to Inside the Toy Room. As I mentioned, throughout the month of October, we're doing a Halloween special, and this is our third edition of that. This has been inspired by Aris Quinones over at Variant Comics, who throughout the month of October always covers supervillains and their origins within comic books. Check his channel out. I love his channel, always have done. He's well worth a watch. However, Inside the Toy Room, we're here to talk about the toys. So I'm going to give you a brief history on today's character, which is Carnage. Now, Carnage is probably the most sinister villain within the Marvel universe. I mean, it's up for debate. There's a lot of evil people within the Marvel universe, but Carnage just seems to be the one that just does it for pure, joy. He's just evil. He's just really evil. Now, he first appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man 361 in April of 1992. He's an auntie's kid, just like me, and it wasn't so long after once the Spider-Man animated series was born in 1994 that he soon graced our screens. And following the success of the Spider-Man animated series, we've of course got a lot of cool toys, and Carnage was one of them. Recently, in my New Editions episode, which you can check out right here, I got my hands on this 10-inch Carnage. Now, I do have the original smaller version, the 3.5 inch, and you can check that out in our Spider-Man episode right here. This one I've been after for a while. This is such an amazing action figure for me. I just think the detail in regards to how it looks in both the comic books and the animated series is just spot on. It's literally like you're holding like you could grab it out of a comic book page and then you've got it in your hands. I'm a big fan of box artwork, and the animated series had some of the best box artwork. Like, I just love this. Now, there's also an alternative version of this action figure, the Maximum Carnage. So in the 90s, there was a big comic book event called Maximum Carnage. I actually have the graphic novel down here. It's a really good read if you want to find out why Cletus Cassidy is so evil. I mean, really evil. Torturing his dog to death when he was a child. Evil, that level. There's a Maximum Carnage version of this figure. I do at some point want to get that just for collector purposes. Commemorates a really interesting and important piece of comic book history, because it really gave us some insight into just how sick Cletus Cassidy really is. Now, the Carnage symbiote is the offspring of the Venom symbiote. Venom is, even he knows just how evil this is and wants to destroy it. Carnage just wants to kill everything. It's bonded with Cletus Cassidy, who was evil to begin with, but then this symbiote that just wants to attack and destroy everything it can bonds with somebody that insane. Only bad things are going to happen, and Maximum Carnage does a really good job of capturing all that. Sees for the first time Spider-Man and Venom kind of getting along and being like, look, we need to stop this guy because he's really evil. So yeah, well worth a check out on that one, and that's why I want to get that action figure. Now, going back to the 3.5 inch figure that I mentioned at the top of this episode by Toy Biz, in I think it was like the third series of Spider-Man action figures, can't fully remember, but they did a really good one called Carnage Unleashed. Now, the Carnage Unleashed is Carnage symbiote up until the head, and then you've got Cletus Cassidy, and it has a bunch of different add-ons that I don't know if you can actually add them to the figure, like take the parts off. Like, maybe if you can take the head off and put the Carnage head on. I know that it comes with that head. That'd be pretty cool if it can do that. I've never had one. I never had one as a kid to take out the box and actually let you know if it does that stuff. I'm just theorizing based on images that I've seen. It is an action figure that I'm hoping to add to this toy room at some point. And now, other than that, there's of course the Diamond Select Carnage, which I have right up here. Look at that. It's one of my favorite Diamond Select figures. I think they're all cool, but again, what I like about this, kind of similar to that Carnage Unleashed, is the fact that his face is coming through, but Diamond Select have so much more detail on theirs that you can kind of see the symbiote stretching through and bringing his face, and he's all crazy Cletus Cassidy. And there's a bunch of other things that come with this that you can, if you was to take out of the box, you can switch and swap with it and add what you want. There's a bunch of different stuff also by Diamond Select. Now, they did some of the statues, and I've mentioned the Venom one before, which is right here. There's also a Carnage one that matches this. Again, it's something that I'm hunting down to hopefully get inside this toy room at some point. I love the attention to detail on these things. I love that they're kind of like statues, but because they're made of plastic, they don't have to necessarily break the bank. You can pick up one of these Carnage ones for around 40 to 50 UK pounds. So and at some point I'm gonna add this to the toy room. Now, more recently, we've seen Carnage in the Marvel Legends series. Now, Marvel Legends, I've covered it in a previous episode. I'd say almost every Marvel character, I might be wrong, but I mean a fair amount, even the more obscure ones, have been created into these highly detailed 6-inch figures in the Marvel Legends series. The Carnage is class, you know, Kaz has one, of course he does. He has every toy, and it was something that I was, you know, when I saw it was really interesting. He's been featured in pop vinyls as well. Carnage has become, I guess, like, is a beloved character, which is weird to say for such an evil character, and I'm one of the guys who's a fan of him. You know, I mentioned on my comic book episode that there's a crossover between Batman and Spider-Man, and Carnage and the Joker actually team up in that, so a really interesting read. Probably check that out. Going back to the action figures, if I was to recommend you getting any of these Carnage action figures, even if maybe you're not a big toy collector, but Carnage is one of your beloved characters and you want to have something to kind of capture that, I'd have to say it would be the Maximum Carnage version of this 10-inch figure. The figure itself is exactly the same, but get it for that box artwork. Maximum Carnage is such an important piece of his character history, in my opinion. It was such a huge comic book event when it was taking place, and has become such an important graphic novel ever since. Sought after by so many Spider-Man and Carnage fans alike. So yeah, I'd say that's the action figure that you need if if Carnage is your guy. And if he's your guy, you're a little weird. Okay, thanks once again for joining us for this Halloween edition of Inside the Toy Room, the Halloween special of Inside the Toy Room. If you did enjoy this episode, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you're notified every single time that we upload a new episode to Inside the Toy Room. Join us next week. We only have 2 more of these Halloween specials to come, but next week's going to be really cool because we're actually talking about a hero, but he started as a villain. Knowing me, you can probably guess who it is because, you know, but I'm not going to reveal the name. You can guess. See you next week.